Welcome to the Divine Feminines podcast and channel. I'm your host, Steph Desart, and in today's episode, I am going to broach the very debatable topic of spirituality versus religion. What are the key differences? Because there are fundamental differences, and this does cause a lot of debate, a lot of disagreements, a lot of confusion. And so I really want to address this. I think it's about time that I share my thoughts and feelings, but also what is known out there and the truth of the fundamentals between the two. So before I get started, don't forget to like and subscribe this channel. We're Divine Feminines on all major podcast platforms. That's Apple, Spotify, Google. We're also on Instagram and TikTok, and that's Divine Feminines with a Z at the end. Why like and subscribe this channel? Well, we put everything for everyone: mind, body, soul empowerment, moon magic, moon manifestation, divine feminine, divine masculine, balancing those energies, because we both possess both of those, and how we really just become our best self. So if you're all about becoming your best self, then this is the place to be. So how do I start this one? Spirituality versus religion. I'm going to go into 6 fundamental differences. But to start, and before I get into this, I want to share a little bit about me. I grew up as a Catholic. I had a very strict Catholic upbringing. I'm of a Goan Portuguese background, and so Indian and Portuguese, obviously through colonialism and a lot of colonialism that happened in the world, Christianity was brought to certain parts of the world like Africa, Asia, South America, and so obviously ancient spiritual ways and ways of life were changed to adopt Christianity or Catholicism. So yeah, I come from a very strict Catholic background, probably about 4 or 5 generations in of Catholicism. It's a lot. It's probably about a good 500 years or more. And then before that, it was probably a mixture of some Hinduism, maybe just some other Taoism, maybe some Buddhism as well, thinking about my Asian background. But growing up, that's what I was taught. I went to Catholic school. I had to go to mass. I was part of the church activities. I was in the choir and all of that stuff, in the young musicians group, playing the guitar. I was even on Songs of Praise. I never for once ever questioned it though. My parents raised me the best way they could, and they showed me that that's what we do, and and it was something you do every Sunday. You'd go to church and everything. It did feel quite strict, don't get me wrong, but then I grew up in a very strict household. So my dad was quite strict, having been born in East Africa, and also with our cultural background, family were just pretty strict anyway, and my dad was quite old school. You couldn't read a zodiac sign, you couldn't even think about things like tarot or any of that. I remember hearing stuff of it and my dad going, that's not good, that's bad, that's like devil stuff. But so I never really questioned it. I followed it. Maybe along the way I'd think, wait a minute, something's not quite right. My mum used to say stuff like, I don't really get this whole church thing. People go to church and then they're there, and then as soon as they leave, or even before they've left the church, they're chatting about each other and they're not being kind. And she used to say it all the time. She's like, I don't really like going to church. She even used to say to my dad, you go to church and then you're there and then you come home and you just say the most foul things and you're swearing and effing and blinding. Come on. And so she made a really good point, and I understood that at the time, but I didn't understand it, right? I understood some part of what my mum was saying, and she still was practicing Catholic. But it was only until I really got to a point of my own spiritual awakening. And so some of you might actually relate if you come from a religion and then you've denounced it, because I denounced being a Catholic. I have no religion now, and this is why I want to just cover this topic, because I've seen both sides of it, and I know what it's not about us and them and religious people versus spiritual people. There's duality in this world, and this is very much a representation of duality, and also where religions have come in and said the script is, and it doesn't leave us much room to really discover. What's the point of being on this earth if you're not here to really do the discovery and the self-discovery? So as I was going through my own journey, and this is probably, yeah, we probably go back about 7 years, 8 years ago. I was probably starting to question things, but not fully. I definitely stopped going to church, and it wasn't resonating with me, but I did get married in a Catholic church, divorced, but I would never get married in a Catholic church again. Definitely a ceremony of love, definitely a different sort of vibe, like divine love, sacred spiritual union, right? But I did all of that, did all of the Catholic sort of ways. But when I was hitting my changes in life, and it was very much dovetailed to when my mum died, stuff started changing, but it still didn't really hit me. I still was sort of going to church for certain milestones, like you go for Easter, or you might go for Christmas. But when it got closer to the times of me really having to speak my truth and actually call for the fact that I wanted a separation and a divorce, my spiritual awakening was really at its like peak of like really going, what do I even agree with all of this stuff? The way I've been living my life, even the religion I'm following, everything. Like, I just want to go inside and understand me. And for me, I didn't even label it as I'm going to become spiritual. I didn't even look at it as this is me trying to be spiritual. I was just going on my own little hermit's journey of trying to understand me. And I believe in life, we're constantly doing that. We're not going to ever do it and then stop and that's it. It's a continual self-discovery, self-mastery. You know, our shadow is always sort of revealing parts of itself that we've kind of shrugged off, pushed under the carpet, like put a blind eye on because we're ashamed of it or we don't want to face it. And so part of that inner discovery is looking at our shadow and also understanding what it is about who we are, our soul's purpose, what we want in our life, and why we're here on earth. So I never once ever said, oh, I'm going to be spiritual now, right? So I think, you know, when I get into this, it's interesting because since I've had such profound changes, transformation, and it has been a lot, you know, to do with my spiritual awakening, because I was awakening to the spiritual being that I am, this soul living this human experience. And as that's, you know, evolved, when I do meet people and they're like, so, you know, and we talk, or they might say that they go to church or whatever, and I turn around and I go, oh, you know, I'm spiritual, but I'm not following a religion. People look confused, especially those that are following a religion, right? They are like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. To be spiritual, you must be following some kind of, you know, religion. I guess the Buddhist sort of ways are something I resonate a lot with, but I wouldn't call myself a Buddhist. I still would say I'm spiritual. But people tend to think of spirituality as something very strange and mysterious, and they even struggle to differentiate it from religion. And I think that's what causes the most upheaval. And if any of you have experienced trying to say to someone, oh, I'm not religious anymore, but I'm spiritual, they'll be like, oh, what is that woo-woo stuff? Oh, it's just a new trend. Everyone's going, I'm spiritual. I've seen that video on TikTok. I said, like, well, no. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. You know, there's a common fear, really, around digging deeper and going into the unknown of non-material subjects. Spirituality does not pick up a book of the Bible or the Torah or the Quran. It's about going within, and it's about finding your own inner truth and really understanding who you are as a person without being told how to be, how to act, and what you can and can't do. It's about you finding that within yourself. So is spirituality a religion? Well, this is how you can know the difference. I'm going to go through the 6 fundamental differences. And the truth is that spirituality is perhaps the most natural thing there is. And that's why you can't fault it, because it is naturally given to us. It's just within it's there. It's to our disposal. You don't have to go to a church or a temple or anywhere. It's right here with us if we're willing to be here with us. So it's simply your conscious self recognizing that you are more than just this mere body, and you are a soul with infinite potential, and you are part of this magnitude, this universe, this great divine power. You are part of it. There's no sort of higher power and then you're like this inferior little minion over here. You are part of that grand power, that divine energy, that divine source. You are part of it. And so you're not just a body, and you're not taking orders like you would from the government and blah, blah, blah. It's very much that liberal, sovereign part of you that you've always had, but you might not know that you have, but you do. So, the difference between them, one thing I'll say first off, spirituality has no rules. There's no rules. Whereas religion is wholly based on pre-established beliefs and practices, rituals and dogma. So it really tells you what's true, what's false, what happened, and it happened like this, so you have to know that it happened like this. It's exclusive, so you have to be a certain type, you have to follow things a certain way, you have to either take certain ways of life, certain approaches, dress a certain way, eat certain things, or whatever it is, pray a certain way, be around certain things or not. There is punishment involved if you don't do certain things, and there's dogmatic rules. I'll get more into that. Spirituality, it allows you to discover the truth. You are free. Just the way you were born, you are still free to go and find the truth from within, not from any book, not from anyone's teachings or scriptures or and all those scriptures. I'm not saying that there's a lot of lost in translation. There's a lot of things that you can find in these scriptures that might ring true, because a lot of these, these religious figures, examples like Jesus and Muhammad, they had very deeply spiritual journeys. So they were going through a very deeply profound spiritual journey, an awakening. But what's happened is these religions have taken that and molded it into something that starts to become like here's a directive that you need to follow, and this is how you need to be. And there's a lot of information that's not pulled through in their journeys. But if it was untouched and left as the real truth, it would be very different. But you need to hear the truth from the actual person themselves, right? So it's inclusive. Spirituality is inclusive. It's not like, oh, us and you and me and them. Everyone can be here. It's based on karma. It's based on lessons of life. If you learn the lesson, you complete the lesson, you move on. If you don't learn the lesson, you keep going around. It's based on self-discovery, which you can't go wrong with, because you are then getting to know yourself more and more. And through self-discovery comes self-mastery, and you become more of a powerful soul, but also human on the outside, because the inside is really going through that space of, I'm really understanding who I am and what it is I'm about and what I want and what my purpose is. So let's get into the 6 fundamentals. I've kind of given you like the gist of those fundamentals and the differences, but I'll get into a bit more detail. There are no rules to spirituality. Like I said, there is no specific ideology. There's no set of rules. I'm like, hey, Steph, do you want to be spiritual? All right, you need to do this. You need to meditate 5 times a day. You've got to be vegan. You can't talk to people that are religious. You have to, hello, no. It just simply says, follow your heart. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, because that's exactly what I did when I started to go through my spiritual awakening. Is all I've ever done since, and still continue to do, is follow my heart and just really stay true to my heart and my soul and what really feels right for me. It sets you free to be the best you can be with no promise or punishment. So there's no one judging you there going, did you do it? Did you get to the finish line? Okay, no you didn't, punishment. Or you get a reward. No, you are left to really do that discovery and be free to be the best person you want to be. And I love this, because this is what I'm about. It's always about just trying to be my best self. And when I think I've done really well, there's more for me to grow. And that's just so beautiful. And that is really the heart of spirituality. The reward is really simply your inner happiness and inner peace for really following your heart and for really just being true to yourself. So when you have that pressure of, having to be good because that's what God likes, and the book, the scripture says this, you can take all of that off your shoulders. You'll notice how it becomes simply just natural. You won't think of what needs to be done, or you need to act a certain way, dress a certain type of way. act involuntary from the grace of your core being. You just act from within. And we all came to this earth with the innate kindness of our hearts. We all have the love and the kindness in our hearts. And sometimes we just need to discover how to connect to the purity once again. That's all it is. And I think without having to be told you need to be like this and need to be like that, and you can just connect to what is the love and the kindness within, you just can't go wrong. The next second one is spirituality is based only on love and not fear. And this is, I love this. I love this because all it is about loving yourself. And through the love and the finding of the love within for yourself and self-compassion, self-love, I had to get myself a little drink because I was coughing there. But as I said, spirituality is based on love and not fear. So, you become afraid of what might happen after you die and all of those things, Religion says, if you don't act a certain type of way, you're going to get judged and all of those other things that come with it. It's about spirituality. There is only love. It encourages you just to focus all your energy on the good while acting from this place. And as saying that goes, like love is in the air, just love one another. And that is all you need to do. And it's hard actually to do that, because in order to love others really purely, you need to find the love within yourself, and you need to look for the higher perspective on things sometimes, because those that are around you could be going through the hardest times and could be acting out of triggers, out of shadow challenges, and you have to find the love within, and to express it in the best way to really help the other. And sometimes it's hard because you could be triggered from another person. So this is a really powerful opportunity for expansion and to really cultivate love, because love is not so easy to give all the time if you are not able to express it wholly. So the journey is just really finding the whole expression of love from within, so that you can have a holy expression of love externally, but it all starts within. Any choice made out of fear is not going to be good for your spirit. But religion is based on saying you need to be a certain type of way, or you need to do things a certain type of way. If you don't, there's consequences, and that creates the fear, and that's not good. If you're thinking that I learned this, this was the teaching I learned, or I read these scriptures, and oh my God, I need to, you're constantly in fear of how you show up and what it is you do, and then you're not necessarily being authentic to you in that. The number 3 of the fundamental differences between spirituality and religion is religion tells you the truth. Spirituality allows you to discover it. So religions tell you the truth, and it's like, it's black and white, this is how things were created, this is how it's all done, blah, 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 blah. But spirituality empowers you to find your own truth. And this is what I've been loving, because when I went on my journey, and I continue to, I'm always discovering new things, and I'm able to discern what feels right and what makes sense to my soul. And I just know, and it's just that inner knowing, and I just let it happen. It's like, even just like me becoming vegan, I never went out to become vegan, but as this journey unfolded, it made me more and more want to go in that direction. And I wasn't consciously aware that I was doing it at first, but then I was consciously aware, and it felt right, and I love it here. And people say you're doing it for health, but it's for spiritual reasons. It's my connection to the earth, to the animals, to making my contribution to this divine source that I'm a part of, and doing it with the best possible conscious way of consuming into my body, and also being mindful of what I'm putting inside my body, because it fuels my mind, body and soul. Because the gut is literally your brain. It is your brain, if you didn't know that, rather than the brain being the brain. The gut very much governs the way that we behave and we act and we think and how we take decisions. It has a massive influence. So you're empowered to really find the truth and what you feel is the truth. And the more you'll realize you don't know anything. Like when you start to go down the discovery, you're like, whoa, like, oh my gosh. And you're open to things, right? You're open to things, and you're not going to like shut them down straight away. Oh, because the book didn't say this, or my religion didn't say this. Spirituality just shows you how to find beauty in observing the way we cluelessly swim in the vast ocean that we are swimming in. And there is truth there, and spiritual awakening happens. And that's where it, when you start to go, wait a minute, I've been doing this all my life. I've been thinking things need to be like this, and I need to live like this, and love is this, and marriage is this, and I need to, as a woman, behave a certain way. And then you realize, wait a minute, that's when your awakening starts to happen, because you're like, wait a minute, no, I don't. And this is wonderful. But you shed, and it's quite scary. In it can be quite lonely, and a lot of you probably can relate to that. But you're shedding all the reason why it gets like that dark night of the soul, and it's like you're shedding and shedding and shedding all of the things that no longer serve you, so that you can blossom into a new sort of era of learning and creating your own way of life that's on your terms, and that is from a place of love, that starts from a place of love for you, rather than trying to do what other people want. And that's a lot of religion connects to the way society also is governed, about how you need to be and how you need to behave and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, right? As long as you respect others and you love yourself, that's really the core of spirituality. Because when you love yourself, you respect yourself, so you wouldn't really go outward and do harm to others, and it's very simple. It's just as simple as that. It shouldn't have to be, it's woo-woo and this and that, because people probably might think that it's, because, spiritual people, then they go into the astrologies and then they pull tarot cards and those are other things. I'm not even bringing that into the mix. Those are things that when you do go on your journey, they're aids, they're tools, they're insight that you may want to look towards to find more insight, and actually it could be very, very helpful and valuable. So there you go. Number 4, religion separates, spirituality unites. And this is my biggest thing. I think, when you see all the wars that have happened, religious wars that have happened in this world, some of the things that happen in modern day, I won't even quote half of the things. A lot of you probably can think of a lot of things that have happened in your lifetime, right? Let alone before your lifetime. And, there's just many religions, and they all preach that they're the story and their story is the right story. But when you go back, and you go back hundreds of years, colonial times and all of that, divide and conquer, it was just to control the people. And those religions were brought to those lands that were colonized, and it was a way to control people. And then if you have one land that's in one religion, another land with another religion, you're controlling them well, because they're not going to unite. And no, we don't want people to unite, because when they unite, they're powerful. Think about that. So spirituality just sees the truth in all of them and strives for unity. So I don't disrespect any religion, because like I said, a lot of these religions have key stories of, figures like Jesus, Muhammad and so forth, that have very deeply spiritual journeys. They went through their own awakening. So there's truth in all of them. But spirituality just strives for unity, because the truth is the same for all of us despite our differences. And that's the main thing. So it focuses on the quality of the divine message they share, and not on the differences in the details of the story. It's about the quality of the message. And if love is at the heart of it, then that's fine. So, I also just want to reiterate that I haven't got it in for any of those that are in religious followings. I've chosen to step out of it because I feel like I'm going to be part of playing into the division, and I just want unity. When we analyse them bit by bit, though, we'll notice common patterns and ideologies in most religions of the world. And the truth is, the only one, it can take different forms, but its essence will always remain unshakable. So spirituality is just so simple, and there is nothing to really say it's right or wrong. I'm not even trying to get into that, it's right or wrong. It is universal law. Love. Act from a place of love. Universal. It's as simple as that. Number 5, the differences between karma and punishment. So in religion, you see a lot about, the 10 commandments, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, and that you're going to then be punished for it. Instead of talking about punishment or the threat of hell, and spirituality only talks about karma. What is karma? Everyone thinks karma, and also another thing, many people have got this idea that karma is like a negative thing. It's not. Karma is lessons. Karma means lessons. So it's about the lessons that we learn in life. And if we don't learn the lesson, the karma repeats. That's why, you repeat a cycle until you close out a cycle and the lesson has been learned and you've grown and then you've evolved and you're moving to the next level in your spiritual journey and your self-mastery of knowing oneself and becoming a better person. Karma can easily be described as the consequences of your actions, though. So if you're not learning the lesson and then you're just doing the same things, then you will have certain consequences, and you kind of repeat the cycle till you go, wait a minute, there's something that I'm doing that's not right, and then you consciously start to realize, right? But in reality, it only represents the action and reaction mechanism of the universe. So by introducing the concept of karma, spirituality just teaches us to take full responsibility and accountability for our lives and act mainly with intention, the good ones, and try our best to act from that place of love. And it's sometimes we are making hard decisions in life, but when we're doing it from our core being and we're following our heart, and as long as whatever decisions we make, we're not disrespecting those around us and we're being respectful and loving, then obviously some people might not like certain decisions you make, but that's not, that's their business. If you're not being disrespectful, then it's totally fine, and you have every right to do what you need to do for you. And whether that's changing your lifestyle, making a radical change like divorcing, moving far away from your family, doing it different. Your family's done things a certain way, followed a religion, and now you're just spiritual and you're launching this light worker type journey and business, and you've created this massive community for spiritual people to come together. But it's also a foundation for business. Like, why not? It's not hurting anyone, it's helping. So others will judge, of course they will. And remember that when others judge, they're judging because they don't know how to observe. They're not there yet. Okay, so rather than fixating on the fact that they're doing that, just let them be and keep doing what you need to do for you. And this final one, number 6, is my favorite. Save the best till last. Spirituality lets you walk your path. It's just beautiful. And it's not defined what that path is. So instead of the ancient stories about the angels and the gods, and spirituality just encourages you to make your path and create your stories. You are the creator. And this is what I was saying at the very beginning. I've done a full circle now. Is that we are the creator. The creator is not grander than us. We are part of that. We are from the same creation. So when you realize that power that you have, you can create the journey. This sets you on your journey of enlightenment and self-discovery, and you can be great. And anything that you want to achieve, you can do. And if it's helping this world become a better place and you to become a better person, then that's power. That's divine. That's beautiful. And that is New Earth. I didn't say New Earth all video, but spirituality for me is the way of life for New Earth. And the more New Earth that, evolves and forms more and more, because I talk about Old Earth and New Earth. You can check out a video I've done probably last year on New Earth. The two Earths are happening at the same time. They're just different frequencies. And New Earth is very much about walking your path, being sovereign, knowing that you are divine, really helping this world, this planet ascend more and more through our own ascension. And this is what's beautiful. We don't try to tell anyone else what to do. We just do the work on ourselves and ascend. And through that, it helps this earth become a better place. Our light shines brighter and it helps others be encouraged. So it encourages you, when you're walking your path, to trust your heart and follow it wherever it may lead you. And I'll tell you something, guys. I've had to follow my heart, and it's been judged. People have not understood me. I've had to, maybe a few people have been upset by me following my heart and following what I needed to do. They didn't like it. They didn't understand why I had to go in the direction I had to go in. But I look back now and I'm like, I won't regret any one of those decisions to follow my heart. And that will just remind me to keep following my heart and keep staying true to who I am and why I'm here. If you look at religion, it all stems from a deep spirituality, like I said. So Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad, for example, all had deeply profound spiritual journeys. Their paths inspired others around them. So genuinely, that they created religious dogmas based on these masters' spiritual discoveries. That's where the dogma comes from, right? But if you take that away, they were no different from any of us. So we shouldn't have to put them on a pedestal because, like I said, we are all that divine being. It's just an example of the life that we are all going through. Everyone's is different, but we are here to do that self-discovery. So I hope that really helps, I hope that me sharing that for anyone that's out there that may be following a religion or maybe going down the spiritual path. I think I probably got more of those that are on the spiritual path. This might help you when you're in that situation of people questioning you. I'm not telling you this as a defense mechanism, but it's just to remind you of why you're on this path and why you chose this. And it's a beautiful thing. So that's what I'm here to tell you. I guess, final thing I will say, the difference between a spiritual versus a religious person, what could you really find? The religious person, the concept of God is predetermined, named, and comes with a set method and how you worship and how you do things. Yeah. But the spiritual person, on the other hand, it's very different. It turns inwards to find the truth and finds God within themselves and all of life. And that's where you really connect with the divine source and divine being that you truly are, when you go within and you realize that you are that power, you are part of it. So the whole, for the whole thing regarding tuning into your spiritual self, it's that suddenly life becomes about being, not about doing. And I think a lot of you might already be going through things. Some of you that are watching might be starting to realize that life is changing for you. And I hope that this helps. I hope this reassures and encourages you that if you're feeling more aligned to the whole spiritual journey, it's a beautiful thing. And I am really happy for you. And I can't wait for you to realize all of the beauty that comes with it and all of the happiness and inner peace that unfolds with it. So with that being said, I'm going to love you and leave you, Soul Tribe, and enjoy, and I will catch you soon. Mwah. Bye.